Being an SDR is relentless. Your energy, your focus, and your mindset all get tested. Over the past 10 years, I've worked at Oracle, Google Cloud, and a late-stage startup, and I've seen what the best SDRs do to manage their time, to hit their numbers, and get promoted to account executive as quickly as possible. In this video, I'm going to give you my best productivity hacks and daily schedule that I've used and I've coached SDRs to use to reliably turn your day into more meetings, quality pipeline, and produce a direct path to the account executive role. Let's get straight into it. Let's put the importance of your daily productivity into perspective with a powerful quote from Pablo Picasso. Only put off until tomorrow what you're willing to die having left undone. Getting things done today is urgent because all the work you put in today, your outbound touches, it compounds over time, and the results you get tomorrow is the result of what you do today. Your future self, your career, and your family are counting on you to be productive today. Let's talk about two fundamental keys to get more quality work done in less time. The first key is increasing your energy. When you have more energy, you get more done in a fixed period of time. So in order to increase your energy, make sure to get a good night's sleep, around 7.5 to 8 hours. Make sure to eat well, have good nutrition, and exercise consistently. Also, increase your positive emotions through positive habits like practicing gratitude. You might not realize this, but your productivity has a critical impact on your mental health and your well-being. According to studies, your productivity and getting more done positively impacts your happiness, your confidence, your willingness to take care of yourself, your willingness to bet on yourself, and it impacts your ability to make more money and get promoted faster. So your productivity optimization should be a top priority. A second key to getting more quality work done in less time in your day is to prepare after hours. You're going to want to prepare your week in advance on a Sunday. You're going to map out your prospecting blocks in the morning and afternoons. You're going to look at your upcoming customer-facing meetings and make sure you block out time to prepare for those. And you're going to look ahead at all of your non-sales related tasks like admin tasks and internal meetings and figure out where you can actually cancel meetings or cancel tasks, and then determine the ones you need to prioritize and figure out where that fits in. But you do need to plan your week in advance, and I recommend doing that on a Sunday. And your schedule for the day should have been decided the night prior. What I do is I use an index card and I write out my top 3 to 5 priorities for the next day the night prior. And for you, as you're writing out your priorities on that index card the night before the next day, you're probably going to want to map out prospecting blocks. Cold call blocks can be one priority. A cold email and LinkedIn block can be another priority. Time for learning and development can be another priority. Those are some ideas, but you want to map that out the night prior so the next day you're ready to focus on the things that are actually important and that are going to move the revenue and growth needle. You're also going to want to use after hours time to prepare your contact lists. You're going to prepare contact lists that are tailored to specific ICPs, and you're going to map out the key personas, the executive decision makers, influencers, and end users you're going to reach out to, and you're going to get all of the contact information like emails and phone numbers ready to go. So when it's time to execute your call blocks in the morning or cold email and LinkedIn touches in the afternoon, you're not scrambling to get contact information. You can just focus and execute and execute and execute. The final aspect of your preparation that you want to handle after hours and not during the workday is mapping out your talk tracks for different ICPs and personas, and then practicing those talk tracks and practicing objection handling so that when it comes time to make those calls, you're not caught practicing on the court. Long story short, you want to do all of your prep work after hours and not during the workday so you can focus on doing more in less time. And you pair that preparation with a peak energy state that you generated thanks to good sleep, nutrition, exercise, and habits like gratitude that cultivate positive emotions. And that's a recipe for being an SDR execution machine. If you want to win your day every day as an SDR and stack those wins to blowing out your quota and getting promoted to account executive as quickly as possible, then every day you need to focus on money-making activities. And in the SDR role, that comes down to prospecting. So the majority of your calendar should be dedicated to outbound touches across the phone, email, and LinkedIn to generate more conversations that lead to pipeline and eventually revenue. These outbound touches are going to be first touches and follow-up touches. And I want to emphasize the latter. Follow-ups fuel the finances. There are fat stacks in the circle backs. So make sure to prioritize follow-up, because you could send the best first email and make the best first cold call and leave a perfect voicemail, but it's really the follow-ups when things start counting and when you start building familiarity and trust and increasing the likelihood that a prospect gets back in the future. If you want to be a top performing SDR, you have to maniacally focus on these money-making activities and outbound touches and following up, and you need to relentlessly say no to distractions, whether it's social media and Instagram or your dad hitting you up trying to distract your prospecting block. Real life experience right there. And you have to say no to admin work and things that don't move the needle, and even internal meetings over time. It might be hard to say no to internal meetings as an SDR when you're early in your career, but once you become a seasoned account executive and you really start delivering revenue, you're going to be in a position to say no to internal meetings more and more. All right, now that you have peak productivity principles in place, let's map out your exact daily schedule in your calendar. We're starting our day with a focused 3-hour cold calling block from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. in whatever time zone your prospects are living in. This is going to be marked in our calendar on green. The call block's going to be marked in green in our calendar because we're eating the frog and doing the most difficult needle-moving task to start the day. As we get ready to make our calls, our contact list has already been prepared. We have 75 names ready to go to make 75 calls. And we've already practiced our talk tracks and objection handling, so we're not caught practicing on the court. We're ready to execute. It's game time. And we're only going to be cold calling. We're not going to be responding to emails or sending emails or on LinkedIn, just smiling and dialing. In order to get into the zone, we're going to leverage a boot up routine, pairing certain consistent rituals to start our call block. From a visual perspective, we're going to be sitting in the same consistent desk setup and environment. From a taste perspective, I'm going to be consistently drinking that nitro cold brew that gives me the zip and comfort that I need. From an auditory perspective, I'm going to listen to that same Eminem pump-up song that gets me going. From a smell perspective, maybe I have that same scented candle or lavender diffuser. And from a touch perspective, maybe I have a stress ball that I can squeeze when I want to. If our goal is making 75 total calls, we're going to execute that in 3 sets of 25 calls. For each set of 25 calls, we're going to spend 50 minutes on calling and 10 minutes off, where we reset our mind and release tension and set intention for the next burst of calls. Speaking of bursts, within each set of 25 calls, we're going to break that down with 2 bursts of 10 calls and 1 burst of 5 calls. That's a total of 9 bursts of calls, 6 bursts of 10, and 3 bursts of 5. And for each burst, we want to count down from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 and then 0. And within each burst of 10 calls or 5 calls, we want to count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. By counting down with our bursts and counting down with our calls within those bursts, we leverage momentum bias in our favor. When we're counting down, things feel finite, and when we get down to 1 and 0, we get a sense of accomplishment. We feel the momentum. Otherwise, if we're counting up from 0 to 75 calls, it can feel infinite. It can feel like a huge task, and that stresses our brain out. So from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., we are making 75 calls, and once we complete those 75 calls, that's a huge win to celebrate. That is the way to start the day off on the right foot and really set ourselves up to win it. After completing those 3 hours of calling, I'd encourage you to take a walk, reset your mind, do some push-ups, whatever you need to let loose and reset. And then from there, from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., you're going to have an admin block. It's going to be in red on your calendar, and that's where you're going to be looking at your emails and responding to emails and handling any other administrative activities. There's a law called Parkinson's Law that says we will get things done using however much time we've given ourselves to get those things done. So by giving ourselves 30 minutes to get admin tasks done, we force ourselves to compress the time in which it takes to get those things done. We have to get it done in the 30 minutes, and that's a smart way to approach it, when in reality, we want to focus as much time as possible on money-making activity and outbound customer-facing touches throughout the course of our day. Now that you've completed your 30-minute admin block, it's time for lunch from 12 to 1. Remember that nutrition is key for generating energy in our day, and after putting in a ton of work making calls to start our day, the glucose stores in our brain are depleted, which can impact our ability to show up at our best and make good decisions and communicate effectively. So we need to refuel and restock those glucose stores by having a good meal. All right, we're on lunch break, and if you're watching this, you're probably an SDR trying to get to account executive, wondering when that AE promotion's finally going to land. And unfortunately for most SDRs, it takes 18 to 24 months to get to account executive if they make it at all. But it doesn't have to be that way if you know exactly what to focus on. And that's why I built Tech Sales Accelerator, helping reps like Alex become #1 of 130 SDRs at Snowflake and getting promoted to account executive, and other reps like Andrew at Oracle becoming #1 on their team and positioning themselves for their next promotion faster than they would have otherwise. If you want to go from SDR to account executive as soon as possible and get ahead of your peers, then book time at my link in the description of this video to apply for coaching and see if our program's a fit. You had a great lunch and now you're energized and ready to rock in the second half of your day. And we're going to start that second half with a focused cold email and LinkedIn block for 3 hours from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the time zone of your prospects. In this specific block, you just want to focus on emails and LinkedIn engagement and nothing else. Just like with the cold call block we executed in the morning, your contact information, those emails are ready to go so you can just execute. And you've also done some research on the prospects and you have personal nuggets and compelling events that you can weave into your messaging to make it more relevant. That research was done after hours and in advance of the call block. You're not spending time in the call block researching and scrambling around, distracting yourself from your ability to actually execute and press send and send the email or send the LinkedIn connection request. And once again, remember the follow-ups fuel the finances. There are fat stacks in the circle back, so a lot of your LinkedIn and email outreach should be following up to past outreach and touch points. Just like with the cold calling block, it's a good idea to set a goal of 50 to 75 email and LinkedIn touch points collectively. And you want to break those down into sets of perhaps 25 touch points and break those down further into bursts of 10 and 5 and count down with the touch points within those bursts. Again, this leverages momentum bias in your favor, and it feels good when you're counting things down and getting down to 0. Congratulations with the completion of your cold email and LinkedIn 3-hour prospecting block. You got your prospecting done for the day. And after a quick mental break and reset, maybe going for a walk, doing a meditation, doing a little bit of stretching and yoga, maybe some push-ups, you're going to have a block from 4:30 to 5 p.m. in red on your calendar, which is your admin block. Just like the admin block earlier, you're going to be reviewing your emails, responding to emails, and handling any other back-end tasks, and updating your internal tools like your CRM to reflect your activity and your results like your meetings and your pipeline generated for the day. An important part of your role as an SDR and in any sales role is feeding the beast. In other words, keeping your leadership happy by updating the data points they need to see to report up the chain. Finally, after completing your second admin block of the day from 4:30 to 5 p.m. From 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., you're going to want to block in blue on your calendar a learning and development block. It's important in sales and in life to always be sharpening your saw. So you're going to want to block off time in blue on your calendar for continual learning about the industry, learning about your customer base, and picking out 3 to 5 high priority skills that are going to move the needle in your role to cultivate and work on, such as cold calling, cold emailing, discovery skills, things like that. Because the gap between our current state and our goals and dreams is really our skills. And by sharpening those skills, we dramatically accelerate our growth and progress. In your 5 to 5:30 p.m. learning and development block, you're going to want to learn by researching, by reading, by role-playing and practicing your skill sets, and by connecting with mentors like account executives who are further down the path who you can really learn from. Because in sales, the best sales artists steal from the best, they don't reinvent the wheel. So you could actually use this learning and development block to book time with a mentor at your company to learn from them. Now, when it comes to finding time for learning and development, you could consider using your lunch break as an opportunity to research, to read, to role play, and even to have a lunch with a mentor to learn from them and build that relationship. That last idea, I think, is the best one, because ideally you want to be spending lunchtime connecting with your peers and building internal relationships, because all opportunities are tied to people, including your next promotion. It's the people you build relationships with that are going to vouch for you internally and help you prepare to succeed. They are the people that will elevate you to the account executive role faster than your peers. So when all is said and done, anything we produce is downstream of what we consume, and that's why continual learning and development is so important. You don't need more hours. You need a day that works for you. If you have any more questions, feel welcome to drop them in the comments section. And if you want my help implementing this and speeding up your promotion from SDR to account executive, then click the link in the description and I'll see you over there.